So, welcome. We would focus on smart agriculture in this edition. So, various agricultural startups have been established, and India is the third largest startup in terms of the agro startups as well. After US and China, India has the highest number of unicorn startups, and we have this era of digital media, social reforms where we can have various platforms being integrated to bring in smart agriculture. So, what are the fields through which it can be implemented? It could be farm management, yield mapping, precision farming, crop monitoring, automation, electrification. On the supply side, understanding the marketplace, the distributors, infrastructure, the hydroponics, aquaponics, focusing on the financial aspects of management operations and how information can be disseminated. So if we focus on the startup basically lies on three pillars. It should be simple, fundings should be proper, and incubation and partnership should be there. So, if the turnover is less than 100 crores for any of the previous financial years, and startup should be incorporated as a private limited or registered as a partnership or a LLP firm. And here, for 3 consecutive years, the income tax would be exempted in the first 10 years. For the first 3 years it would be exempted. Some of the schemes are Startup India Seed Fund scheme, that is for basically the prototype development, the product trials and commercialization, and is created by Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. The next is Samriddhi, which is the startup accelerator of Ministry of IT, and that is for product innovation, development and growth, started in 2021, focusing on customer and investor connect. The next is dairy processing and infrastructural development. Here we have the process which is started from the union budget in 2017-18, and then we have various milk unions, cooperatives and subsidiaries for the same. The next is dairy entrepreneurship development scheme. Here we see basically the implementation, marketing and the processing of milk. NABARD is the nodal agency which handles it. There are various challenges which come in this line. Basically, the rate of return, the investment technology, small holdings by the farmers, unaffordable technological solutions to make technological advancements, regulations and technologies to have better output. 25% of the farmers have the access to smartphones, which is a very small proportion. The funding in the agricultural sector is 10% of the global funding. We need large companies where we can collaborate with the startup. 9% of the funding in the last 5 years is focused on growth stage startups. And then we have farmers and various organizations which basically are the financial organizations coming together for the program. Now, ENAM is the platform where we have the electronic national agricultural marketplace. Now, this is a virtual marketplace where a common rate would be given to farmers across India. This would bring in more transparency, remove intermediaries. It will also solve the issue of perishable commodities by cold chain storage facilities, transportation facilities. Rail Kisan has been started with the same idea, and then the success of Enam has been seen in the states like Gujarat, Rajasthan, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Andhra Pradesh. We have introduced payment initiative where attractive gifts are given to the farmers, cash prizes are given, and this has actually increased the way through which farmers are getting enrolled with ENAM. On the pricing aspect, there are various regulatory provisions, but we have empaneled various platforms and banks for the same. And then coming on to the transport and the marketing, understanding good collection points, storage facility, good infrastructure, testing quality, improving the livelihood of the people and bringing financial inclusion is the basic aim. Now, digital transformation basically focuses on using digital technology in the form of remote sensors, aerial survey, insights to bring in better yield, better seed effectiveness, better demand supply trend. And this has been made possible through machine learning algorithms, artificial intelligence, predictive analysis, and so on. If we focus on countries like US and Israel, they have been working extensively with digital technology. Netherlands, Australia have reshaped their agriculture economy in a significant way. So those are some of the examples that we can type cite and consider those for the future growth in India. So to develop a good platform, we need a good governance. So national e-governance plan in agriculture is another such plan which would help us in better growth and development. Coming on next, we have uh, d- so we already understood how the national plan would actually benefit the governance, and a good governance would be a way through which people would be the farmers would be more involved and they would get to know more details into it. One stop window farmer portal through the M Kisan app would be released. Direct benefit transfer is subsidies directly going to the account of farmers. We have a memorandum of understanding with Microsoft to create unified farmer service interface in 10 districts of 6 states, mainly for the post harvest management, and that has been started. Cost inputs have been significantly reduced. ITC has signed a MOU for site-specific crop advisory, mainly in the Sihor and the Vidisha areas of Madhya Pradesh. Similarly, we have MOU by various other companies. Geokrishi has started its value chain, and that is in the Jalna and the Nasik region of Maharashtra. NCDX E-Market Limited has started in three districts: Guntur, Devangiri and Nasik. NinjaCart has developed a agri marketplace platform to bring together the participants in the post harvest market linkage. When it comes to renewable sources of energy in the rural area, it is mainly for increasing agricultural productivity, ensuring food security, better health and climate variability, and the amount of energy that can be drawn. So India has crossed 100 gigawatts of installed capacity, and that is again a significant milestone. We are enhancing the target of renewable energy to 450 gigawatts, and we aim to achieve 40% of the installed electric power capacity from non-fuel sources by 2030. So again, we are moving greatly towards renewable sources of energy. Biogas is again a new parameter. Ministry of Natural New and Renewable Energy Resource is basically running a program, new national biogas and organic manure program, and that is to enhance biogas in remote rural and semi urban areas. The project size would be 1 cubic meter to 25 cubic meters, and using biogas as a source fuel for power generation and thermal operations would be done. Then we also have biogas generation and thermal energy application program, which would be set up for the biogas plants which are 30 cubic meters to 2500 cubic meters per day. Similarly, biogas would be used for other purposes as well, and waste to energy would be another program that would be started. Few of the case studies are the Kamthara village in Katni, Madhya Pradesh, the Methan village in Patan, Gujarat. So these are some of the villages which you can actually cite in your answer writing. Very, very important. The detailed handouts and the statistics would be available in the exam race current affairs section, so you can just get more information there. Solar power lightning is again important. We have seen that so far through the various programs we have brought nearly 78 lakh lanterns, which is a significantly huge amount, and 17 lakh home lights across India. And this has also included the coverage of the northeast and remote hilly areas under the Atal Jyoti Yojana. We also have the small hydropower with a capacity of up to 25 megawatts, which have been developed in the rural areas to emphasize local growth. Ladakh and Kargil, where the connectivity is very, very technically difficult, numerous such projects have been incorporated. PM Kusum is the project through which we are providing solar grids, and the extra energy which is generated through the discoms would be sold to the discoms by the farmers, and therefore is a great initiative to get clean energy for the farmers, solarize their agricultural pumps, and the extra energy which is generated could be sold to the discoms. Now this has three component PM Kusum. The first is generation of 10,000 megawatts of solar capacity additionally, replace the existing diesel pumps to the solar pumps, and get a subsidy of 30% to solarize the agricultural feed. So there are three components under it. Then is the Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gramin Kaushal Yojana, which aims at skill building. Special projects for Swarojgar Yojana have been incorporated. Training courses from 576 hours to 2304 hours have been done, and on-job training is provided. So there are various course duration, and how many hours of soft skill would be given, imparted in each of the courses have been mentioned. Roshni is another program through which in this left-wing extremist districts, residential courses for 40% women coverage would be done to bring in more awareness about the natural resource, the traditional skills. Himmat scheme is mainly for people from Jammu Kashmir and Ladakh, and it is center state funding of 60 to 40. Similarly, we always work in a PPP implementation model now, and there is the national unit which is responsible for the technical process, the state unit which focuses on the state skill mission, and then we identify the individual beneficiaries. Those could be the Antodaya Anna card, Antodaya Anna Yojana card holders, the BPL holders, the self-help group households. So all those are identified, the right beneficiaries are identified. Coming on to smart farming, we have seen that there have been problems of climate change, lowering groundwater, low organic content in the soil, deficiency of nutrient, degradation of soil. All those can be addressed by smart farming. So there have been three important things that we focus: sustainability, adopting resilience to climate change and removing greenhouse gas emissions, improving the livestock, evaluation of soil and crops. We have main pillars as IoT, smart sensors, which is basically identification of disease, irrigation system, health monitoring, post harvest activities, 5G networking, smart capacity, application of smart farming through drones, grain banks, smart decision model, automatic watering, driverless tractors, GPS systems are some of the ways through which we would enhance it. Now, agricultural sector and rural development, we have 68% of the population and 72% of the workforce in rural area. 50% is directly or indirectly dependent on agriculture. Total food grain has increased from 50 million tons to 300 million tons, which is significantly higher. We have huge number of allied activities through which agriculture is affected. The mission for integrated development of horticulture has benefited in the export sector as well. We have various schemes, for example, soil health card for soil sustainability, Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana for organic farming, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana for protecting the crops, Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana for incomes to the farmer with a land holding up to 2 hectares in order to increase their income, transport and marketing assistance. And then if we look onto the trade balance, we have seen a significantly higher exports in comparison to imports, and the percentage of the agriculture exports to the total exports, however, has declined over the years, but the percentage of agricultural imports of the total imports have increased. So if we bring in a climate smart agriculture, the yield loss could be up to 35% for the rice, 20% for the wheat, and so on. So those things can be addressed, and we can have much more better much more better response to the problems. So there are three pillars or bases for climate smart agriculture: increasing productivity, increasing adaptation of the crops, and increasing the mitigation or coping the mitigation, which is basically reducing the emissions of calories that is produced. Now, the characteristics is basically to address the issue of climate change, to maintain good ecosystem services, have context specificity, get involved with marginalization, focus on mitigation of climate change, generate technical knowledge, and basically assess the greenhouse gas emissions across the globe. The next is under the government initiatives. The first is the National Innovation on Climate Resilient Agriculture, launched in 2011. we have three major thrust areas: the vulnerable district, the crop varieties, and climate change impact. The National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture, where we focus on 8 different missions that can be done. The National Adaptation Fund for Climate Change, and then we have the Kisan Sinchai Yojana, the zero budget organic farming, the extension services, and the innovation services linked with the climate smart agriculture. So, those are some of the key topics that we have covered in this edition. However, the handouts for the same are available at Examre's current affairs section. For more details, feel free to post those in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to address your doubt and connect back. Wish you very good luck for your forthcoming examinations.